I don't know why, but yeah, it's just the craziest thing. And I was so fed up with my green screen that I accidentally left it on, and I have a set of room dividers, which is a really golden, well, it's all strapped down now, but it's kind of a golden wood, and it was projecting perfectly. And I said, well, that's not putting a ring around my head or anything. And so I thought, what could be a similar color? And that blanket I just showed you was, like an orangish red. So I threw it over there and said, will this work? And no more green. So
it's actually one of the best virtual where the person, you don't blend into the background at all. I mean, it's one of the best ones. Yeah. So that's crazy orange.
It's just a throw blanket. Here I bought I mean, it wasn't expensive, but a nice green screen on Amazon, and it's a throw blanket.
Can you make a face mask out of the green screen?
What's that?
Can you make a face mask out of the green screen?
Right, yeah, something, yeah, a lot of them. Because I bought a really big one thinking I didn't know how much I would have to block. So yeah, got this huge green screen that, yeah, I can make face masks out of. It probably wouldn't be very comfortable. It's kind of scratchy.
Probably not.
No,
yeah.
none of them are. Hi, Carmen. How are you?
Is there any reason why this meeting's being recorded? Do I just hit continue?
Yeah, we just do that. We just do that now as a matter of practice, just so people know.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, it doesn't. We always have to be careful where we post it. So.
Yeah. Hi, Terry.
Hello. How are you doing, Peggy?
Okay.
Hi, Terry.
Someday I'll get this down. All this stuff.
And then it'll be time to go back to face to face.
Face to face.
That's right. Oh, I would love to see the faces of my students.
Yeah.
I don't know how they feel about seeing my face, but
I bet they're glad to see your face. I'm sure they are. I bet they are.
And if they're not, well, they got it.
It probably gives them a sense of normalcy. Normal.
Normal.
Well, that's a great background, Teresa.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We were just talking about that. It's not a green screen. It's an orange screen.
My
Well,
background.
it's interesting since I switched out I couldn't do backgrounds. And then when I got rid of the world's slowest laptop and went and got my, that's my boss's name for it. She calls it the world's slowest laptop.
I do call it. I didn't get the order in to get him a new one soon enough. But there's going to be one.
So anyway, so I went back and got my last Sunday. I got my desktop, and I have check this jury reading. Is that awesome?
Oh my gosh, where did he go?
You went to the Grand Canyon.
All right. That's
Who's
West
back
Texas.
for Terry tonight.
That's West. That's West Texas.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
On Highway 90 near Big Bend.
Wow.
That's just one of my favorite. That road is that actually not Highway 90, but that's the old original road. Let me see if I can do this.
My background is my dirty house on the back. On the balcony, and I don't care.
I don't know if you can see this, but I've kind of rigged this thing up so that I have the wire running all up the door sill and over, so that I can so I can actually plug this into, because the plug for the internet is on the other side of the room.
That's like the
behind the TV.
Oh, there's
So,
Gil.
There
Hi,
you go.
Gil.
Terry, did you just have wired? You don't have wireless?
No, I don't. My desktop is not wireless. My desktop is wired.
Of course, there's the little. I have a little wireless adapter on my PC. It's the same way, but I've got it hardwired at this point. But yeah.
Well, eventually it'll be figured out. I'm just, I also really need to call the cable company and have them come out and they need to upgrade my cable, because they're charging me. I can get it a lot cheaper at AT&T So I got to call them and say, hey, I can get this cheaper at AT&T if you still want me as a customer. You gotta hook me up.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people just getting rid of the cable and just going all Netflix and Amazon and
Yeah, well, I don't have cable. I have, I have Netflix, Amazon, and the only reason I have cable is for internet.
gotcha. Yeah.
So if I ever go 5G, then we'll be okay. Ah, Teresa's here too. Good, everybody's here.
Yes.
Oh, Della's there somewhere.
We're
But
up to 11. Well, we have 16
keeps-
last
he keeps-
night. I hope we get more than 16.
I think we
tonight.
had 20 at the end of it.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
there's 12. Esmeralda's here. Hi,
Oh,
Esmeralda.
you know what? Oh, you know what? You know what? Susan's electricity just went out.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh my
so
gosh.
Yeah, because
She'll be
she
back
was
in a minute.
here. Yeah, and
What?
then
Then
because
she
she
was
was here
gone,
and then
yeah.
she was gone. Yeah. Hey, Esmeralda.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, we
Hi.
can't hear you.
This is the School of Business special tonight.
That's
gotta
right. Yeah.
hope.
There's Adela.
Ella's back.
Well, Esmeralda, you're on mute.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
I
there
haven't
you
had my glass of wine, sorry.
Are you presenting tonight, Esmeralda?
No.
Okay, all right.
I'm watching for a little while.
Okay.
By the way, just so you know, this is not beer. This is sparkling lime water.
go. Sure.
Right.
We're recording.
Right.
I'm still on the clock
Oh,
for another hour.
was that regular? You work till 7?
With these things, I'm working till 7. I take 5 to 6 off and grab some dinner.
Oh, that's
Made
good.
made a big salad tonight.
Oh, how healthy.
Well, actually, I've lost in the 3 weeks I've been working from home. I've lost 7 pounds.
Really?
Yes.
I eat whatever HEB delivers.
So,
Terry sends, oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, Terry, since Susan, she was going to kind of do the icebreaker for us, but since her electricity went out, maybe I'll just kind of get that ball rolling.
Well,
But Esmeralda,
I have. Okay. Well, is it 6? Yeah, it's 6 o'clock. Well, let me.
you got a slide
let me
there,
pull
Terry?
up- Let me pull up my share screen option here. Okay. And share screen.
Does everybody have their chat window up? Because we're going to do our icebreaker in the chat.
Okay.
Where is
Yeah.
that?
Okay, so the chat is if you go to the bottom of your screen and you'll see,
There.
yeah, you see it?
Yeah.
Click on chat.
Okay.
Now
Our question is on the board there. Name one aspect of your in-person teaching that you would like to bring to online teaching, maybe via Zoom.
Do I click everyone?
Yeah, no, you can just click where it says type message here.
yeah, don't even have to type anything.
So just one thing that maybe you're maybe missing. Is there some aspect of in-person, face-to-face that you would like to bring to your teaching? And it could be via Zoom. I mean, we'll help you. Really, the ability to flick people in the ear. That's Adela got. Yeah, and so this will help us, kind of see what we can do to help you, and maybe other people have an idea that is an answer to something that you're thinking about. Oh, okay. So spontaneity and questioning, flexibility. Okay, and Billy, I want to be able to draw on the whiteboard while I'm lecturing. We can definitely help with that for sure. Seeing students' reaction, that is tough when you're lecturing, unless you have 2 screens. Nikki, do you have 2 screens?
How do you do that when you have 2 screens?
You can actually get your students, you can have them on one screen up to 40. So if you had 2 screens, we could help you do that. Because that is something you can't see everybody if you just have one screen.
It's wonderful to have 2 screens. That was actually going to be one of my tips for tonight, because
Okay, perfect.
I have a laptop in front of me, but I have my a bigger monitor from my PC behind me that I have an HDMI cable that runs to my laptop. And it is just perfect because I can put all my Zoom stuff on one screen and the presentation stuff on my laptop screen and toggle between the 2, and it's fabulous. And I can,
So can you see, then do you put like gallery view and see all your students?
Yes, and it's great.
Yeah.
I have one student who doesn't have a camera.
Oh, one student who doesn't have a camera?
That's right. And so he participates, and it's blank, or it has some kind of an image, and he speaks. He seems to be connected in the fact that I've asked a couple of questions and so on. So I guess that's all right, but it's a problem.
Could he use his phone? I'm sorry, Kathy.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I'll write that down. I'll ask him about that.
Yeah, that's really good. And just, I mean, I have a few web cameras. I can, if we need to send something to somebody, I can definitely, but the phone is really a good option too. That's a great option. So Teresa, I want to walk around and point to an item in the textbook. How about that?
So here's how I'm handling it.
Go.
I'm putting stuff on the formulas, because I teach accounting, formulas on the whiteboard, and I'm typing them in there. And then I type in the formulas. I say, now look at the balance sheet and find cash. Then it goes like this. Look at the balance sheet and look at assets and look at current assets. And then the very first thing, next thing, is cash. Can you find that? And that's how it's going.
So you really have to talk them through it.
It's pretty slow.
Pretty slow.
But they find it. And then all of a sudden they go, oh, yeah, I get it.
So it's more auditory. Okay, well, so this what we'll do here is kind of take a look at these ideas that you have here and thoughts and what you're kind of missing, and then just see what we can do. And we have your name tied to them. And I think small group presentations and exercises, one of the things that we did talk about doing next week is really the breakout rooms, really putting people in small groups in Zoom so that you can go from room to room to room. I mean, you can do that there in a small group. Because people last night were talking about participation and how we can get students to participate. And that is kind of one way where they'll probably participate in a smaller group. And the breakout room is a great tool for that. So we're definitely gonna, that's one of the things we're gonna talk about next week. And we have some faculty people who are really doing some cool things with that. So they'll be here for that.
I've been using it like crazy. I was actually going to talk about it tonight. I didn't realize that this was not for the presenters, that it was for the participants. So yeah, I was going to mention just a couple of things that
that's
have been
perfect.
really great.
There we're already solving some problems, or some just challenges. So because it's a challenge. So you sharing these ideas, and what we'll do is we'll save this chat. And then we'll take a look at these and just see how we can work through them. Okay, thank you. And welcome everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. We're always so glad to have everyone. I also want to say thank you for that survey. Susan and I sent out a survey and we had a just great response. And we are going to use that information to kind of tailor things going forward as well. So we appreciate your willingness to take a few minutes to do that. But I am going to turn things over to Terry tonight, and he brought some co-presenters with him. So right now, Terry, turning it over to you.
Okay, so I'm going to do well, tonight we're going to be talking about share screen, and one of the really cool things that you can share with you, and we're going to be talking about some of the cool things that are on your share screen. So you should be able to see my slide presentation. It says University Incarnate Word on it, and 5 things to do during your Zoom meeting. So can you all see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Come on. Ah, there we go. So the objectives are we're going to be talking about how to share screens, how to share content such as videos, PowerPoint, and documents. Use the new share feature, which is really cool. It speeds up your sharing. Share video sound, pause and stop sharing, and then share your whiteboard. And we're going to be talking about all of those in the context of, I just have an image that I'm going to show you, and it will, and we'll kind of show it from that context. I actually don't have the ability to share, use my Zoom screen, so you can see what it looks like on Zoom. But basically, whenever you start a Zoom meeting, at the very bottom of the page, in the bottom middle, there's that green screen share button. And I like the fact that it's green because it kind of is the centerpiece, and it really is kind of a way so you can say, well, if you need something else, I need to push another button, it's 1 or 2 or 3 buttons away from the share screen button. So having it green and standing out is really nice. So basically, when you share once your Zoom meeting starts, all you need to do is click the share screen button at the bottom of the screen. And when you click the share screen button, you get something like this. Let's see if I can't. So you get this picture, as you can see, that it shows all the different screens that I have that are available. So I have my PowerPoint presentation here in the first row, second picture. I've got my email if I wanted to share that. A couple of whatever on my, I have 2 screens, so I can show what's on my first or second screen, and whiteboard. And that's basically what happens is this window pops up. And then I just I just choose the screen that I want, and then I come down here to the bottom right, and I click share, and voila, I'm sharing my screen. So everybody can see what's on my screen. A couple of tips.
Excuse me 1 minute. All the pictures of all of you are on my right side of my screen, and it's covering up your screen. How do I get y'all up at the top?
Okay, very good question. So if you go at the top of that, at the top of the pictures, right above the picture of me, probably, you will see something that says that's got 4 boxes, 2 boxes, 1 box, and a flat line. You all see? Do you see that? Click the flat line, and that completely minimizes all of that stuff, all of that information.
Okay, but now I don't see anybody.
Correct, because you just minimized everything.
Where was this?
Okay. Okay. So if you're on the screen and everything is on the right side, it's got all the pictures of everybody who is participating, or most of the 6 of the people participating in this presentation. Do you all see that?
Yes.
Okay. If you go up to the top of that series of pictures on the right side of your screen, at the in the black section, you'll see some 9 squares, then 2 squares, then 1 square, then a flat line.
Right.
If you click the flat line, everything disappears. You don't see any pictures or anybody. It's completely out of your way.
I don't go where it says mute.
No, ma'am. You're probably not seeing the same screen as I am.
I see the squares.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Do you see next to that 2 squares?
To the left, yes.
And then 1 square?
Yes.
And then a flat line.
Yes, I was going in the wrong
click on
direction.
the flat. Click on the flat. Click on the flat line, and then everybody will disappear. So as I said, is everybody with me?
Sure.
So when you click,
Jerry?
yes.
Michael Van Doren here.
Yes, sir.
And I don't see those actual icons or whatever you said, the squares.
Do you see the
up in the upper right-hand column or area corner? I have speaker view and exit full screen.
Okay, so you want to put it on, hold on. Try it on, click on speaker view.
Well, that gives me anybody. I guess I can look at different people.
Well,
I see
really, it
Teresa,
doesn't
and
really,
now I see you.
actually, it really doesn't matter. The idea is if your pictures were in the way of the screen, you want to be able to see the screen. If your pictures aren't in the way of the screen, it's not really a big concern.
Yeah, I do have the ability to move the screen over
Yes,
and make it larger.
yes. And that's
Okay.
all that we did, was we just made it as small as possible.
Gotcha.
If you're moving that screen over, you'll see a series of different squares, and the smallest one is a flat line. If you click the flat line, then everything moves out of the way.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right. So as I was saying, so I just, as I said, I at the bottom of the screen, click share screen. And then when I click share screen, I choose the screen to share. And choose the screen, and I just click share, and then I've got this share screen. Now you have this, what's called the share screen toolbar. And this toolbar, as you can see, I'm running my mouse over it. As you can see, this toolbar, it has most of the same functions that you had when this toolbar was at the bottom of the screen. And most of the time it's actually hidden. All you see is this green button that has your ID and the red button that says stop share. To see it, you just mouse up to it and it drops down, just like it does on the bottom of your screen. Okay? So basically, if you remember from when you're running a meeting, and this is what you'll see if you're the host of the meeting, is when you're running a meeting, you'll share your screen, and that bar at the bottom that had mute and start video and security and participants and share, that button now goes to, that series of buttons, or that toolbar, goes from the bottom of the page to the top of the page, so it's out of the way. And you just see the green and the red buttons, and if you mouse up to the green button, just put your mouse over it, and then this menu drops down. Okay. Also, an interesting thing, if you guys, does everybody see, I've got my mouse circled around this little line next to the ID number in the green section.
Right.
You all see that? If
Yes.
I were to click that, what that does is it moves this entire menu back to the bottom of the screen, and so it's located at the bottom of the screen for you. So if you ever see that green thing and you want to move it to the bottom of the screen, just click it. Kind of something I discovered today. Didn't know that was there. As I said, the functions are similar to the ones found on the toolbar. When you're not sharing the screen, all of these functions are here. But let me talk about a couple of them. So again, our mute button, if it says mute, then the audio is on. If the button reads unmute, then the audio is off. This is what we call a toggle. So you click it once and it turns the volume off. You click it twice, it turns the volume on. The same thing with the start video and stop video. So when you hit that button, it has start video or stop video. And because it's just, if it reads stop video, the video is running. If the button reads start video, then it's not running. And if it says start video, and it'll also have a line running through it, which means that it's off. By the way, you can, if you want to, you can still click on that button that's next to it and go, and even while you're in the middle of sharing your screen, you can go ahead and change your virtual background if you want to. So if you paid real close attention, you'll notice I just did that. And then there's a new feature on the toolbar called security. And what security does is it enables you to do several things. One of these is, when you have security, is you can lock the meeting. If you'll notice, I've got my mouse over here where I've got my little boxes. You can lock the meeting, enable the Reddit meeting room, and then you can also, this is where you could allow the participants to share the screen if you so wanted them to. You can click and they will be able to, you could give them permission to chat and to rename themselves. By default, these two boxes under check and rename are checked off, but you basically, it's an on or off option. So if you want to lock the meeting, you just click next to lock meeting and it checks it. If you want to share the screen, you check that, or you can uncheck or recheck any of these boxes. It's an on or off position. So the way this sets up now, the reading room is on, the chat is on, and the rename is on.
What does the lock meeting do?
What the lock meeting does is it keeps anybody, even if you are supposed to be in the meeting, it locks everybody out of the meeting if it's not there by a certain time.
Oh, okay.
It's basically, it is the video equivalent of closing your door to the classroom, and no one can come in after that.
Let me ask you about the mute button. What if, can you mute the other folks in the room if you're the host?
Yes, that is an option that you have, and you'd actually would you would do that when I talk about the next button.
Okay.
Which is manage participants. So your manage participants button is right here. And when you click on this button, it's just like you did if you clicked it, if it were at the bottom of the screen. If I were to click manage participants, it would show me a list of everybody who's participating in the class. So if I clicked on it right now, which I just did, it shows me that there are 19 participants in the class. And on this, I can actually go and there's an option that says mute all, where I can mute everybody, or I can just focus my muting on specific people so that they, say only the people I have slated to talk during this presentation would have the ability to talk. So I can mute them or I can unmute them right from there. Okay. Okay, the other options are polls. We're not going to talk about polls tonight, but that's a new function. But this button I have called New Share is really cool. It's something they just recently added. And basically what happens is that if you click New Share, it reopens this menu, and then you just pick a new screen to share. That speeds up things, because generally you would have to, if you wanted to share a page, you'd have to click Stop Share, go back, find the page, and then click New Share Screen again. But with New Share, you just click New Share, choose a new page, and then you're off to the races. There's also a function called Pause Share, which actually literally pauses the sharing process. What happens with Pause Share is when you stop share, that you stop completely sharing the screen. But if you pause the share, you're not sharing the screen anymore, but the menu for sharing the screen is still retained at the top of your screen. And it just changes and turns a different color. It turns orange, if I'm not mistaken, or yellow, excuse me. And that it just basically tells people that the share is paused, but you're still in that process. Reasons for pausing the share are that maybe somebody asks you a question and you want to kind of maybe go and you have the answer, but it's not on that page, and you want to go find where it's open at on your computer. Maybe it's a different page that's open, or it's something you don't see on your screen share. So you can pause the share, and then the other option is to stop share. when you stop sharing, it actually wholly, completely stops the sharing function.
Jerry?
Yes.
So when new share, with new share, that allows for one extra, one additional share feature, or, you know, opening up another window program on the,
You can,
on the
if you,
view?
as long as you click on new share, you can go back and share as many times as you want. One of the things we recommend, and something that Dr. Hinojosa is going to emphasize, is when you start your Zoom meeting, you want to make sure that the PowerPoints that you're showing are open, that any web pages with video that you will that you want to share are open and paused, that any documents, Excel spreadsheets or Word documents, that they're open and in full screen on your computer, so you don't have to go look for them.
Good to know.
And then you can just, when you hit new share, you can just click, and then, because when those items are shared and open, everything that's open, then you get this full screen view of everything. And then you would just say, if I wanted to go to my mail, I would just click mail and share again. Or actually, I wouldn't even click share. I just click on mail and that window would pop up. Something else I recommend, this is another pro tip, so to speak, as Kathy would call them. If you have multiple videos or multiple websites that you want to open one web page, and then just open a tab for each item and have that up and ready to go. Because then all you need to do is just click on each tab to go from a video to another web page, or to a video, or to an article that's on the web or something like that. So just as I said, go ahead and choose as many, just have as many one web page, but have as many tabs. And do you all know what tabs are at the top of a web page?
Yes.
Okay, so you just click on each tab, and that way that you can slip right through each of them. The last thing that you're going to see on this window is called More. It's over here on the far right. More is always a good thing when it comes to
Thank you, select more.
I'm sorry?
Thank you, select more.
Yeah. So when you click on More, this menu opens. And the two things I want to point out is that you can open the chat from here. You can go to breakout rooms, which is something we're going to talk about next week. You can choose your recording style, record on this computer or record to cloud. We recommend recording to your computer, because it puts it in your documents folder on your computer, and that's very easy to retrieve. And then the meetings are just date timestamped. So each meeting has its own folder with its own date stamp. So it's going to be very easy to find. And then closed captioning. Closed captioning is you actually have someone closed caption or type it for you. And then the other one but the two most important ones are right here. Share computer sound and shares optimized for full screen video clip. So if you want to share the sound that's coming off of your computer, you want to make sure that that's checked off. And all you need to do is click those, and there'll be a check mark next to them. And the other one is you want to optimize for a full screen video clip. So if you're playing a YouTube video, you need to make sure that button is clicked. And then also from here, without having to end your sharing, you can also end your meeting from the More options. Now, one of the other items that we have is we have the whiteboard. And again, this is part of your share screen function. And the whiteboard's pretty cool, because you get a nice little toolbar here. And on this toolbar, you have a bunch of different options. You can select, like you can have a whole bunch of text on here, and you can select it and resize it. It's kind of cool. You can write text. I just click the T for text, and then it gives me a little box, and I type inside of it. So let's say that you're talking about Shakespeare. You can say, in what play did Shakespeare say this? And then type on the whiteboard, I don't know. Did Shakespeare say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned? That's the only thing I can think of right now.
That one, right?
Then you can draw lines and shapes. Now the draw lines and shapes is nice because you can do nice perfect squares. You can also do a square or circle, and then you can do a filled square or circle. So if you wanted to highlight something, you put a little filled square over there over the text, and the text would actually be highlighted with this little square. Think of it as putting like a piece of that you're using your think of it as you're using your overhead projector, and you're sticking a piece of colored film over it. It's basically the same effect. The stamps, well, you can do hearts, you can do arrows, you can do stars. Very kind of cool. The spotlight function is very neat because basically it turns your mouse into a laser pointer. So if you if you've got a lot of information on this, then you can use that laser pointer to bring students' attention to items on the whiteboard. Eraser will erase everything. Format allows you to change colors. And then you have clear and you have save. Now, the most important thing I want to talk about on this really is save, because all of this is pretty easy to find and use. But the save button is really special because basically you can take that entire whiteboard and save it and then erase it and start all over again. And when you save the whiteboard, it saves to the exact same place that your recording would save for that meeting. It'll also it'll also save if you save the chat, will also save in the exact same place. And the wonderful thing about this is that no matter how many times that you stop record, no matter how many times you do a whiteboard, no matter how many times you no matter how many times you do either one of those things, all of that stuff, no matter how many times you save your chat, all of that stuff goes into the same file and is basically that folder holds everything that went on during the entire recording process, or the entire time you had that meeting going. So when you, from the time that you hit start meeting and start your meeting to the time you hit end meeting, no matter how many times you save your chat, how many times you save your whiteboard, and you can start and stop the recording in that same period of time, all of that information goes into one file folder. So it really makes it really, really super convenient for you. So that's just a kind of a thing I learned the other day. I learned from playing around with this, and I think it's just a really neat feature of the whiteboard, well, of the entire Zoom system. Yes, sir.
Will that save even if you're not recording your?
Yes, it will. Everything
program?
is. That's a great question. Again, even if you're not recording, it'll save it, and it saves all the data from that particular meeting. So that's basically all the stuff that happens when you use the whiteboard. So now I have my colleagues here, Teresa Tigman, Teresa Harrison, and Dr. Gilberto Hinojosa, who is my very favorite pest. And he always calls me his friendly, he always calls himself his friendly pest whenever he wants some help with something, and I am always happy to give him a hand. They're going to talk about best practices and what they do and what their experiences is using a shared screen and the whiteboard and the other tools that we talked about today. So I'm going to turn it over. We'll start. I went ahead. I didn't really do this in alphabetical order. So Teresa, since you're the first on the list, I am going to turn this over to you and let you tell everybody a little bit about yourself. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my screen sharing, and then if you want to share, that's great. I'll let you do that. Okay, there we go. You're on, Dr. Jageman.
I am on, but I don't see anything but you. Is that proper?
Well, we can all see you. In the upper right-hand corner, you
Okay.
see. In the upper right-hand corner, just click on
But-
Gallery View, and you'll see everybody.
So am I a co-host? Can I share my screen?
Let me make you a co-host.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm at it. I'll make everybody else that's working with me today a co-host. Actually, I think I can only make one co-host at a time. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I can share my screen. Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's talk about chat real quick and best practices. Actually, I teach accounting and I don't know much about technology except Excel, which I love. But so I'm learning new technology every second here. And so I'm not really the technological expert that people might think, because I'm not. However, I have learned some things. Actually, I think Terry put me on here as a foil, so because I don't have really good technological skills, so we can just, ask me all the mistakes I've made. Big mistake.
You weren't supposed to guess that.
Yeah, I'm not fooled. Big mistake. I decided that I found out that students were signing in with their name, no video, which is nice because we're saving bandwidth, right? And then they're leaving the room, leaving their name up on the square. And so, the first few classes, I didn't have much material, so they ended, after about an hour 10 or something like that. And then I noticed that everybody had left the room except 5 people. So I said, is there anyone in the room? No answer. So I chatted in, is anyone in the room? Oh, is chat a verb? So they weren't there. So the next meeting I had them, say something on chat. About halfway through, like, hello, I'm having a good time, or this is frustrating, or I hate this virus, whatever they could chat in. And I saved the chat. And then at the end of the class, I said, everybody say, oh, goodbye, thank you, adios. And I saved the chat. And then I went in and created a Blackboard quiz. This was the mistake. I went in and created a Blackboard quiz, and I gave them attendance points for showing up on the chat. Okay, I have students that have completely disappeared, that I don't hear from, that will not speak to me. It is very lonely. But man, you put up 5-point participation and you have a barrage of so I didn't do that again. Yeah, so that's my chat experience. My whiteboard experience is that it comes and goes. So Terry's been working with me on that. I like the whiteboard because I can bring it up and quickly answer a question on a formula. So what we're doing right now is we're solving about 18 formulas. And with those 18 formulas, we need to have conclusions and recommendations. So we have to know what they mean. And I think I started with saying, teaching a whole semester now, and they can't find cash. So I have revamped my ideas on how to teach online, and I'm going to make sure that everybody in my class that even signs on knows how to find cash and sales and everything else on the financial statements, because that's what Accounting 1 is really all about. So when I bring up my whiteboard, let me share my screen. Oh, good. I don't have a whiteboard.
Oh, Terry, is it disabled?
It shouldn't be. She's share screen is enabled. Okay.
It might be disabled.
I don't think so.
At the meeting level though.
What is this? I've got now launching meeting, open Zoom meeting, as if I was.
This is Teresa's screen.
Yes.
My
back, can you see me?
Yeah, but I still see the screen that says launching.
Let me try new share again, or too soon?
Yeah, go ahead and try a new share because I don't see my whiteboard. So you should be able to do it. If you'll click that new button that says new share and see if it'll give you.
No whiteboard.
Yeah, you know what I think, Terry? I think it's disabled at the meeting setting level.
Okay. In other words, what Kathy's talking about is we set this thing up so there's only one whiteboard per meeting.
Ah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Well, my whiteboard lectures are pretty boring, so you probably wouldn't want to sit through that.
No, that's not nice. We'll undo it for the next meeting.
But I put what we're analyzing up there. Say, can you pay your bills? Up there, and then I put a formula. There's lots of them that show whether or not a company can pay their bills. And then I put down the numbers in the formula so that but they have to look at the financial statements and tell me the numbers or they can chat them in before we move on. And then I work the formulas and I ask them, have we improved over last year? And then I use and then they have to figure that out. And then I use the stamp button that has the check mark when we figure out something. So that's kind of how I use the whiteboard. And so you're lucky I can't demonstrate this.
Well, I can hold on just a second. I can bring up my copy of the whiteboard.
And if you make Teresa the host, she can probably.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I'm working on that.
She could probably do it.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Can I ask a question? Can we go and open it, like start a meeting, like we're going to have one with participants in it and be able to use functions on our own to get used to using them?
Sure.
Do you have to have people in there in order to do all this?
No.
Okay.
I've been doing that all day because I've been practicing on my
Wait, Teresa, how do you do it? How do you go in and do it? Just go into your Zoom meeting?
Yeah, I just say host a meeting and I'm the only one in the room.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and try it now, Teresa.
Yeah.
Hold on. Now try it.
Now I got you and nothing else.
Okay, well, go ahead and do the share screen and then.
Okay, I'm going to undo that and do another one because no, there's no whiteboard.
Huh.
Okay, that's probably on the meeting level then, Terry.
But I don't have but my whiteboard's not there either. So I'm like, I don't understand why it's not there.
I think when the meeting was set up, the whiteboard wasn't
disabled.
Selected. Yes.
Okay. Teresa, can you change out the screen though? Because it looks like we're in the middle of a meeting still. Okay.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what did you say?
Oh, you want to stop? You can. You want to stop sharing? I wish I could. I can't get the whiteboard either, so I don't have the ability to.
Well, that's no great loss in my case. You don't want to see my whiteboard. You get to my students, but you know, it's working.
But the big thing that you're using it for is to kind of is using the writing tools to write formulas, and the other thing is that you're using the chat to kind of make sure the students are still there. Correct? Those are our two takeaways today. Good. Okay, Teresa Harrison, I have you. Can you unmute yourself? And you're set up as you're set up as a co-host.
Okay. I'm going to say I echo what Teresa says to double check that the students are there multiple times during a session, but I make my students have their webcam on because I get energy from them and I can look at them and talk to them and have them just raise their hand if you know, they understand what I'm saying, or I can see the glazed eyes. But I also have, I just found this last night, an app called Popsicle Sticks. And I don't know, I'm not in education, I'm a management professor, but it's really cool because it's like teachers in elementary school had popsicle sticks with their students' names on it, and they put them in a cup, and then if they wanted someone to answer questions, they would pull out the popsicle stick and it would have their name on it. So when everybody's looking at me and not wanting to answer a question, this popsicle stick is a random name generator from I entered in my students' first names. And so let's see if you can hear this. Andrea. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it said Andrea. So that meant if I asked a question, I'd say, she picked you, Andrea. You get to answer this. And so sometimes they're actually shouting out the answers so they don't get picked. It's interesting how to reverse psychology that way. But I'm going to share the first screen, which is my opening slide. Let's see. I think I need to make it larger. Let's see. Okay, so right now, you should see my PowerPoint, and it should be now in presentation mode. Do you see my PowerPoint in presentation mode?
Yes.
Mhm.
And another thing I will say, I mentioned this before we started, is to have two screens. It has just been a lifesaver for me. I have my laptop that I have sitting right in front of me, and then I have my computer monitor from my PC behind it, and I plug my monitor from my PC into my laptop. So it's like I have a dual screen, and I have all my Zoom stuff on my monitor from my PC, and I have, as far as the gallery view, the participant list, and my chat room, and then I have the actual presentation on my laptop. So it just gives me a little bit more space. So that's been really nice. And so I usually open up the class with some kind of check-in. So for this one, and that's how I use it to take attendance, because like Terry said, the chat is captured and saved and sent to you. So then I can just double check the chat list and see at least who checked in. So I don't have to, because normally I would go through grades first and take attendance. And this way they have an activity, they're getting their brain warmed up, and I'm able to take attendance all at the same time. So I'll have them, this is just one of them. Sometimes it's a brain teaser. Sometimes it's what is your favorite season, but they write their first and their last name and then an answer to whatever the check-in question is for the day. All right, and that's one thing I do.
I've captioned the pictures, so if anybody else wants to.
Oh, have you? Yes, okay, so yeah, can't separate a girl from her shoes. Very good. Yes, that is.
If anybody else wants to do that, join in.
Right, yes, join in. Then, let's see, I'll do another share, which is, I do like to do the breakout rooms. This is I'm gonna tell you two things that I do at one time. So I do like the breakout rooms, and the breakout rooms are in the Zoom menu. If you go all the way over to the right where those three dots are that I think you should see on your Zoom menu bar, those three dots, if you click it, one of those options, if you're the host, will say breakout rooms. And when you click breakout rooms, it can either randomly assign people to groups, or you can have pre-assigned breakout rooms. And I like the pre-assigned breakout rooms because I already have students working in groups for group projects. And so I will break them out into their group project group, and I'll have them work, and I'll pop in the groups as I need to. I'll let you learn more about that next week. So this is a teaser for next week. And then I pop in and pop out, and they love it because they say, this is like how we would get into our small groups for class. And I would just walk around in class face to face. And then another thing that I do, and I'm sorry if I'm going fast, I just know we're limited on time and I don't want to steal anybody's time. But another thing I do is if I have a Google Doc or some shareable doc or a website I want them to look at, I will put it in the chat box, and I'm pointing to my other screen, which you can't see. But so for example, I just put a link in the chat box to how to pre-assign participants to breakout rooms. so that it's ready to go for your next class. And you don't have to do it before you schedule a meeting. I just have my students log in through Zoom in Blackboard that is dedicated to the class. And then I have their breakout rooms already set up so that when I break them out, they just are split up in their groups. So that works really well. And then I put, like I said, links to shared docs, to websites, to everything in the chat room. And then that way they can copy it and paste it into their browser and either open the document or open the website or whatever it is that they need to do. And then another piece of advice that I have is similar to what Terry said about having your files open. Also, I write down, I have a little notepad here that I keep next to my computer. And before class starts, I have written down the name of every file that I'm gonna need to open so that if I accidentally close a video that I wanted to show the students, I at least have the name of that on my, so that when I look it up on my computer, I'm not frantic. I know exactly what the name is. And sometimes I'll even write, it's in the, 2020 spring business communications file, so that I know exactly where to go, because it's so disconcerting when you're looking for a file and you can't find it. So I also write down those kind of things. And then the last thing that I like to share in my classes is the videos. And right now you should see on your screen a media player. You see the media player on your screen?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, so I like to use the media player to play files. So today, for example, in my business communication class, we were talking about negative messages. So I put them in Windows Media Player specifically because they tend to not glitch if they're in Windows Media Player. Other media players that may be your default might tend to glitch. And I found this out through trial and error. And I also make the Windows Media Player as small as I can get it on the screen, because I find that it expands on your student screen to full screen, or at least to a bigger image. And I'll show you in just a second. And then I have my students turn off their videos so that we allow for more bandwidth to be able to play the video. So we can all practice real quick. I won't play this whole video, but if you wouldn't mind stopping your video. Everybody know how to do that? You just click on if you hover over your picture, there are 3 dots next to the mute, unmute, and then click stop video.
Also, if you click on the camera in the bottom right corner, it'll also stop the video and put a slash across it. Okay. And then since you're already muted and your videos are stopped, I don't get any visual cues about whether the video is working. So I'm going to stop my video because I want it the most bandwidth that I can get. And I tell the students, if this is glitching, put something on the text box, on the chat, sorry, not text box, but on the chat.
Ideas are not what we would call good, useful, having any value at all. I think they're great, but everybody else thinks they're terrible. You have ideas only a mother could love. Your mother. No, it's not that your ideas are bad. Can I text it? Yeah, I'll text it to you. But just be sure not to read this until like after work.
All right. So the reason I was showing that today in class is because, and now you can all start your video back. The reason I was showing that was we were talking about how not to give negative news, how not to give negative feedback. And so it's one of those videos that kind of gets their attention you know, we can all talk about it later. And then if I want to just talk to them one-on-one, I just stop share, and then we're just back to how it was to begin with. Except that, like I said, when I class, I will have that check-in screen open on my PowerPoint, and then my PowerPoint's ready to go too, so that when we start the class, all I do is advance to the next slide, and it's already the material for the class for the day. So I think those are all of my tips. Oh, one piece of advice though, when you start a video clip and you stop your video, make sure you leave your mic unmuted. Otherwise you'll mute the whole video, the sound from the video as well.
Great. Thank you, Teresa. And now, again, my probably one of the professors I've been working with the professor I've been working with the longest, which makes both of us long in the tooth, Dr. Hinojosa.
Well, I think I was invited as payback for all that pestering. So anyway, Terry's a good friend. A good bit of what I had to say has already been emphasized and said. Just a thing or two here. One is I prefer to see somebody as a person rather than as a face. And so, as you can see from my screen, you see me sitting down at my desk, and I can talk with my hands and have different expressions and so on. Now, this is personal, but someone suggested, and another helpful hint for happy living on distance learning, that you put the laptop on a box or on a stand higher so that it sees you at a different angle than you're looking at it as you're peering down into your laptop. Now, I'm able to do this because I have the webcam on my big monitor at home in my desktop. And so I can, as you can see the background. But I like this. Now, I don't know if you folks, I don't want to stereotype anybody, but they say that Mexicans, we talk with our hands. And that's the case with me. So that's the one thing I would would suggest. Anyway, a lot of things have been said that I was going to point out as well. One thing, when trying anything new, get a buddy to do a test run. Get one of your friends at the university, or if need be, get someone at your house to be in another room and you test it out on your machine and see if they're getting what you want to do, and so on. So doing a test run is important. Anything new I try, I test run, so that I'm not test running it during class. I'm glad to hear about the attendance issue. I'm not sure I fully know how I'm going to do that, but the suggestions are very good. I'm having a beginner's problems with the whiteboard, but you know, not to be stopped. We did Cold War and just did it on a piece of paper, and hey, it worked. So I tried using the pencil thing on the laptop, and not pencil, what is it, stylus on the laptop. It didn't quite come out as clear, so I resorted to just writing it with a marker and showing it to folks. It's a Cold War issue. I can give you a whole lecture on that, but I won't. But everything else that I was going to talk about has been covered better than I would have. It's been really interesting to see the many things that folks are trying to do, and it's also very inspiring to see that, as is often said, a lot of dedicated people are trying to do their best under the circumstances of learning this whole new science of distance learning. No, that's it.
Great. Well, thank you, Dr. Hinojosa, and thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Teresa. I'm really thrilled that you guys were able to help. I want to kind of leave you with something. It's kind of, so as we'll have some time here for questions and answers, but while we're doing that, how about, what are your ideas for using screen sharing? How would you use it? And basically, I've got the chat window open, so please feel free to type your answer there. And then while we're doing that, anybody have any questions, please go ahead and ask them. We'll go from there. Meanwhile, Caesar and I will be, Caesar will be monitoring, and Kathy will be monitoring your responses to how would you use screen sharing. So does anybody have any questions?
I didn't understand how you got to whiteboard, because I never did see anything that would let me go to whiteboard. So could you go back over that?
Okay, well, basically it's part of your screen sharing. Do you see the screen slide
Yes.
that says share a screen?
Oh, I see it.
No,
Okay,
it's
I
got
got
the
it
big
now.
red box under it says whiteboard.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Terry, can you cut and paste a whiteboard?
No, I've tried that. I have not had any luck with that. I was actually trying to, it doesn't have the ability to import images either. Or import anything that you could, because I was thinking a screen capture, if you could current screen capture something and post it on there, but I have not been able to do that. But that would be cool. Maybe it's something what Zoom gets through. They've had a lot of challenges this last 2 weeks. And so I think once they get that, then they can get through this, then they can probably add new features, because I know they're working on some new interesting new features. Okay, good. Okay, Nikki mentioned using a document camera. So that's a really great idea. It's not only Nikki is using that, but Patsy Newborn, what they have is a document camera. They're not real expensive. They're called, the Ladybug is a really nice compact one. And they use the document camera to take a picture of, to take an image of what they're writing on, say on paper or on a small whiteboard. And they can write out the formula, and the document camera becomes another screen for your computer, and you can share that screen. It's a very neat way to use it. And you know, I got to tell you, if that's not something that might work for you, one of the things you can also do is set it up so that your camera, you can actually rig your camera up so that it's so it's pointing down at paper, and you can use it that way.
In the workshop, they used a writing tablet, like a drawing tablet that is linked to the computer. I looked at the prices for those. They're about $88, $85, $70 to get a fairly well-known brand. But you know, I hesitated about, but by way of, there's one more thing I'm going to have to learn versus just doing the best I can in this environment.
Very good. Thank you, sir. And I can't emphasize enough the idea of having a Zoom buddy, because you'll learn a lot just from having somebody else there to ping ideas off of, to show them that you're going to do, maybe that you're thinking of doing this in a class. And that eliminates the opportunity for things to go horribly wrong when you're in class if you've done it once or twice with a Zoom buddy. And again, you don't hesitate to send me a note and say, Terry, I need to try this out. Can you get on a Zoom with me? I'm there. I will be more than happy to help you with that. Caesar as well. Caesar doesn't realize I just volunteered him. And Kathy as well.
Sure. Hey, Terry.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I share our favorite web page?
Yes, you can. Let me stop my share here.
Before we go to that share, our favorite web page. Check it out.
Siri's talking to me. So
Okay.
I just let people know what's coming up tomorrow. And also we just have a new feature on our favorite webpage, Teaching Remotely. We're adding your best ideas from the classroom, kind of what you're doing, teaching ideas in action. So Lucretia Fraga is our first featured instructor, but please know that, faculty member, but please know that we're taking down names as you utter things, we're taking down names and we'll feature you soon.
Yes,
And then,
yes, Teresa, that we're talking about you.
yeah, all the Teresas, Dr. Hinojosa. So, and then also just know that tomorrow, this will be the session tomorrow. So I just wanted to say that before Terry sings us out.
Sings us out.
Available?
I don't think so.
Or however you end your meetings. I sing an Irish song.
I am. You hear the clock?
That's it.
That 7 ding says this baby's on vacation for a couple of days.
Terry, can I
Yes.
say something really quick? I also want to say, I, like many of you in this meeting, I never used Zoom before, ever. And so had it not been for you and Kathy and Susan and Lucretia and everybody that put on those sessions, though that extended week of spring break, I would not be testing it out. I would be freaking out. So I appreciate y'all doing that, because that made all the difference for me to feel comfortable with this software too.
Thank you
One
very much.
before
Thank you.
that I was going to make, I was looking at my notes here, is that one way of taking attendance is to get into the host screen early, like 5 or 7 minutes before class begins, and as they come in, greet them, in my case, good morning. And so this is my way of taking attendance at the beginning. But I think the other tricks about keeping them online are really great, and I'm taking notes. Thank you all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, great thanks to Teresa Harrison, Teresa Tigeman, and Gilberto Hinojosa. They've just been so much, I really appreciate them taking some time out of their midweek to kind of hang out with us. It's been a really fun experience working on all of these different sessions. And just to let you know, I actually will be off tomorrow and through Saturday, Sunday. I'll be back on Monday. So if you need some help, please you call Cesar Hernandez. You can actually dial my number and it'll ring into his. He doesn't know that.
He does know that.
Lucky Caesar.
So, and then on Monday and Tuesday, if you need Caesar, you'll be talking to me. So turnabout's fair play. But you know what, I got to tell you, this is 3 nights a week, 6 to 7, and I really enjoy doing this. This is not the place. This is not the situation for an extrovert like myself to be in. So I really am happy to. It's really fun to be here and to kind of listen to everybody and to work with you guys. So thank you so much for coming tonight. Have a wonderful Easter. The greatest thing about Easter is that it's to me one of the happiest times of the year for me, and so nothing can really take that away. So enjoy your Easter, enjoy your family, and stay, as the 90s used to say, Terry, keep your distance. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Terry.
Bye-bye.
Terry, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye, Susan.
Bye.
Bye. Susan, do you know your hand is completely covering your phone?
You need to unmute.
Yeah, no, Susan's thing.
Doing this on a phone's a real ordeal.
Yeah, what happened to your electricity?
Yeah, I lost my electricity, just came back on, but every time there was a change in screen share, that would load the meeting all over again. Not exact. Got a lot of compassion for students who are trying to do this with a phone.
Well, thank you, Susan. We'll see you. Have a wonderful.
Yeah,
blessed
you have a
holiday.
wonderful Easter. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
You're
Bye
welcome.
bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Mantis.